All right, take two because I really fucked up the first one. Hey, I talked about it on the channel a few times, and people seemed interested. Back in college, I wrote a book. Um, it was printed by an honestly kind of shitty company that went out of business shortly after we printed stuff. I think they went out of business 2 years later. Largely what they did is they accepted things, they helped with editing, they helped acquire artists and that sort of stuff. But as soon as the book was produced, they're like, all right, you 21-year-old shoe, go market it all by yourself. And as a chemistry major, I didn't know how to do any of that. So obviously it didn't financially succeed. I printed about 1,000 copies, sold most of them through door-to-door stuff and like going to local bookstores and libraries. But yeah, it wasn't ideal. I just took it as a lost cause. And now with this YouTube channel, I've mentioned a few times that the book exists, and people seemed interested enough that I thought I would reprint it. So if that's all you need to know, and you don't really want to hear about what it is, I'll put timestamps in the video. You can just skip the end. And there'll be a little thing that tells you how to get it. But for anybody who's not going to blindly buy something, what is it? What's this thing? It's called Valhalla Forever. It's a young adult fantasy novel. It can be, it doesn't mean it's not well written, but also don't expect like Citizen Kane or anything. It is what it is. It's a pretty, I don't want to say typical. It's a fantasy adventure. You get a lot of the tropes you want out of that. I've reread it since then, and I still like it. It doesn't, it ages fine. It's fine. It's hard to talk about the plot without giving anything away. I guess the concept comes from talking about Valhalla, the Vikings' paradise, where warriors go when they die to fight into eternity and bask in glorious bloodshed with their ancestors. But there's kind of a trick with that, and I was talking with roommates at the time about it, where how would you not get bored doing that, right? Because if you can't die, there's no stakes. Nothing matters. And cool if you kill somebody and they just stand up with an axe sticking out of their head. That's not very fulfilling. So we were trying to think of how to make it fun for the people there, because it's their reward for being brave in life. And we were thinking that if you beat one of your opponents, you get their strength and their speed and their power, making you better, faster, stronger. And then that way you would get more and more elite as you fought on. And in a way, you kind of become the boss, or something that other people are trying to fight. And they're like, oh, have you heard of Human Boy? Yes. Like, he's slaying 100 brave warriors, and he's doing this, and he's so strong he can lift a house with his pinky. And it's like, wow, I want to go kick that guy's ass. And then if you do die, you go back to being really weak. But when you come back, you can kind of choose a new form. You can choose a new fighting style. Like, oh, well, I was an elite ranger for, like 150 years up here. That was cool, but now I kind of want to have 4 arms and wield like just my fists or something like that. You could try different things. This is essentially what I'm getting into. So it's kind of a build your own fighter's paradise, where they just go there, get all their anger, get all their aggression out. Once their souls are cleansed of violence, they move on to like a peaceful version of heaven, where like on Earth, a lot of your family and friends would go if they weren't warriors. But yeah, because anyway, heaven's supposed to be like the best thing for you, right? So if one guy's idea of a great time is murdering a bunch of people, and the other guy's idea of a great time is making pots, I don't see how they could be friends. So Valhalla is essentially a waiting room where violent people get all their shit out. And it works like that for a long time before the book even starts. And then some dickhead shows up and decides he's going to get all this power. And instead of fighting and dying like a man, he's going to go to the second strongest guy and be like, hey, do you like being powerful? I know you do. either I'm going to beat you up and take your power, or you and I can team up and be unstoppable. And he does that to the third best guy and the fourth best guy and the fifth best guy. And pretty soon they have this like cabal that can't be beaten. And they're just bullying people and they're doing what they want for them. And they kind of set them up as like kings in this place that's supposed to just be this playground. So the other people get all pissed off because their good time's being ruined. And they kind of haphazardly try to stop this government from being formed. And their do it at your own pace, freeform style just doesn't work at all, and they get murdered. And that's all before the book starts. That's not even spoilers. The book itself covers, so this government exists. It's kind of crushing down on these people, and these other warriors are still trying to find their afterlife, find their honor, find all these things underneath this boot. And you follow some of the characters as they attempt to avoid, because they're being a bit of rabble rousers, so this pseudo government's looking for them, and they're trying to avoid that. They're trying to gather up enough people to try and do another insurrection and actually succeed this time, maybe. And then as they're doing this, and this is where the book starts, as they're doing this, they come across a kid, like a kid in Valhalla. And they're very confused because they're like, what? Who comes into the afterlife as this great warrior? And they're like, my chosen form is a baby. So that was confusing. They've never seen a kid before. And then also this kid starts exuding magic powers that they haven't really seen. And that's where the book starts. So you have these guys that have their own shit to do, but they're also very curious about this magical baby who doesn't stay a baby for very long. And so there's kind of mystery. There's a lot of magic in it. They go wandering. They fight monsters. They fight bad guys. There's a lot of crying, boo-hoo, emotions. It's a fun adventure thing. If you want to have a fun adventure, go read the fun adventure thing. All right. How do you get it? I know that was a long and windy explanation. I'm really not good at selling myself. Like, I'm not a very hype person when it comes to me. I posted a link in Filthy Rat Den, my Discord, prize pool donations, because any money I get from this will go to the prize pool. You can click on this link. It'll take you right to the store. Boom. There it is. Add to cart. Done. Or you can find it yourself by going to lulu.com. They are the printers I mentioned. Type in Valhalla Forever, and I should come up. There's an ebook version that's super cheap, but it's just literally a PDF file, so it's not the most fun to read. I personally prefer a printed book, but it is a little more expensive. It's $22. I know that's a decent amount. I picked the lowest possible option I could. And since this is an independent bookmaking thing, stuff costs them money. So I think the books cost like $11 to print. And then they want to cut, and then I get like $8 out of this. But it will also soon be on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And that's why this price is a minimum, because Amazon and Barnes & Noble take such a big cut that if you buy from them at this price, I get like, I think 1 cent. 1 cent or literally nothing. So I would recommend going to Lulu and buying it there. The length is 446 pages. It's about 130,000 words. For reference, the first Harry Potter book is 76,000 words, so it's about half that length. It's a medium-sized book. It's pretty good. If people like that, if people like that, I have 13, I think, written books. Wait, how many is it? 11 or 13? 4, 3. Okay, so I have 11 written books, a bunch of other things not written. If people care enough, I could get those edited and published. I just didn't know if anybody would care, so I stopped writing. I moved on to board games, which is a whole separate thing. Anyway, that's how you get it. If you want to support the channel, do that. If you don't, then don't. That's fine if you don't. Valhalla Forever. I ordered a copy of the book. That's what I'm holding in my hands here. I had other copies from the before times, but I just want to make sure this worked. It seems fine. I looked through. Doesn't look like there are any missing pages. It functions. It feels nice. Decent length. Decent size. Yeah. I mean, I'd ask you to go get it. That'd be a nice thing of you to do, but money's money, and I know not everybody can afford these things or wants to. And if you don't want to read it, don't buy it just because you feel like you should. If you're not going to read it, don't buy it. Like, that's just a waste of your time and money. But if you do want to read it, I think you'll have a good time. I don't know. Whenever I reread it, I enjoy it. But I'm the author, so I should probably fucking enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that. Pew pew. See you around.